Bitcoin bear market confirmed, crashing to prices not seen since just 1 month ago. Hey guys, Sheldon here, welcome back. Or if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on all of those bell notifications. And if you find any of the content useful in this video, please give it a thumbs up too. So on my display right now, I have the Bitcoin US dollar chart open, and I'm sure over the past 24 hours, you've noticed the cascading liquidations that we've had across the market, sending Bitcoin down to around $42,000 to $41,000. Now, across the top 100 coins, pretty much everything is down in the past 24 hours too, but it's not necessarily the worst that we've had. The market has corrected slightly, and it's sort of mirroring what has happened back in May when we did have that major crash. So today we're going to take a look at Bitcoin and take a look at some of the other altcoin charts as well, and see what is going on in the market. Is this the start of a multi-year bear market, as what seems to be the sentiment across Twitter and the crypto sphere right now? We've got the crypto fear and greed index at one of the lowest that we've had in a little while right now, at extreme fear. Let's take a look at where it is right now. Pretty much at around 15, the lowest it's been since around the crash back in May. Now, historically, again, I will always mention this, buying when the market is in extreme fear is very good. It's one of the historically most highest risk to reward ratio plays that you can have. So lowest risk, highest reward, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we can't go lower. So let's take a look at what's happening on the charts and see where we are. First, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin. As I've mentioned in previous videos, when we did break above that multi-month downtrend, that confirmed a new all-time high, but we have broken below that. And I said if we do break below that, it's likely that we'll come up to test it. If we don't break above it, it's going to turn it into resistance. And that's exactly what happened. And we've broken back down to around the $42,000 region. But we're still using this downtrend as support for now. And the reason that I say this is that the cycle that we're in right now, or this stage of the market that's right here, is sort of a baby version of what we had back in May, but it is different in a few different ways, and I'll show you why on the Bitcoin chart and on some altcoin charts. So let's take a look, and if we did a bar pattern back from earlier here to here, and we copied it over, you might have seen that it's quite similar to what we had just a little while ago. So we have the similar peaks, a peak here and a peak here, with a slightly lower peak, and then this sort of cascade down after we've broken the trend, after this initial pump. So very, very similar in that regard. We also have a very similar move here to what we had just back here. So if I were to extend this, you'll see it is very similar if I were to overlay it over the current market. Now, just because I'm overlaying this and showing you what has happened in the past, again, history doesn't necessarily have to repeat itself one-to-one, but it may rhyme. And as you can see, very, very similar. We had this initial cascading liquidations over here with a capitulation wick down to around $42,000, back up, slide down with a slight pump back up to the resistance that we had back here, which is that pump over there. Confirmed as resistance, back down, and a slow cascade down. Now, does this mean we can have a little bounce back up and slowly cascade down back to here? Very likely, in my opinion, because it is very similar. The chart is looking very, very similar. If we look on the RSI, we have something very similar as well, just in a smaller sort of pattern. So a shorter time period than we did have back here, but after breaking this multi-week or multi-month downtrend on the RSI, after we made new all-time highs, we broke above the RSI and then turned it into support and broke back up, and that's when we started the trend back to the upside. Now, again, we've broken that to the upside, come back down to it. We are very, very, very close to confirming it into support. Stochastic RSI is at the bottom, which means we could be due for a reversal, meaning we could see a slight move to the upside. Maybe we do see something like this into the upside. But again, if we start going back down, it's likely that we're going to go back down for a little while. This is going to be a few weeks to a few months in this period where we're sort of consolidating at new lows, or sideways at least, so it allows the market to reset itself. But we'll take a look at some altcoins and why I say that, in my opinion, I feel like this could be the lowest we go, at least for the short term. If we take a look at what's happening with altcoins, most of them are at key support levels. And of course, I'm going to start with a channel favorite, and that is Luna, retracing to the 1618 fib level. Favorite for altcoins to retrace to, especially after a pump. If we look at what Luna's doing, it's very similar as well to what it's done in the past. A higher high, slightly lower high, and then a correction, higher high, slightly lower high, and then a correction back down to the fib level. And it's pretty much been following this pattern since the beginning of the year. So in my opinion, this point is a very good position for us to reverse if that is what's going to happen with the market. Of course, this entire market reaction is a knee-jerk reaction to what was said at the Fed after the minutes reconfirmed the plans to hike interest rates. Now, of course, this is a knee-jerk reaction to the market. After this happens, you usually do see a large correction in the market. That happened the last time this happened as well. So selling at these points is a brain dead move, in my opinion. If you are looking to take profits, if you are being scared out, if you have changed your sentiment, if you are scared of the market, selling after an initial sell-off like this, or when the market is red, is the worst thing that you can do. Why? Because your risk to reward ratio, again, is very, very bad. If you are looking to sell or take profits, or you want to exit the market, you shouldn't exit these points, because it means that you're overexposed if you have to exit at these points. I've always said, if you have to sell when the markets are red, it means you're way too exposed to the markets. You should only be investing with money that you don't need right now, rather money that you only need in the future or don't need at all. That is what you should be investing in. You shouldn't be selling your house and your car to invest in the market, or using your rent money to invest in the market. Of course, most people in this market are degens and gamblers and looking to make profits on the short term, but that is up to you to do. On this channel, we try to provide actionable advice that allows you to remain in the market for a longer period of time. As I've said many times, the one thing you want to do is avoid ruin. Sure, you can get wrecked a couple times in the market. You can lose some bets here and there, but getting ruined is what will absolutely destroy you. You don't want to have to exit the market entirely and have no lever or no capital to re-enter the market and regain those profits. So if you are overexposed and feel like you need to sell right now, you need to cut back your exposure to the market. Let's take a look at some other altcoins. Another one that we've spoken on the channel for a while is, of course, Cardano. It has broken down slightly below the multi-month uptrend. Of course, we've had some pumps here and there along the way, mostly narrative driven, as you guys know, smart contracts and so on, but we have broken slightly below it. If we don't close above this, I would say likely we're going to go back down, but we are at a critical support. And this is the case with many of the altcoins in the market right now. We can take a look at AVAX as well. AVAX is retraced to the 0.618 fib level, a favorite of altcoins to retrace to, another key support level. Let's take a look at what Atom's doing. Atom is going a bit against the market right now. Once everything else had dumped or had its pump, that's when Atom saw its time to shine, it seems, in the market right now. Atom's RSI is quite high, stochastic is quite high as well. So if it is looking for a point to reverse, it's going to be here unless we turn this into support and we make higher highs after this. So hopefully we can close above this. Unlikely at this point, especially if the rest of the market continues to dump over the next little while. But if that isn't the case and we do continue moving sideways, let's take a look at what's happening with altcoins versus Bitcoin and Ethereum. You can see that altcoins like Luna is super outperforming Bitcoin over the past year, which is expected. But we can also see that the stochastic RSI is at the bottom, as well as the RSI is sort of making a new low, a new lower high. If it forms this as an elbow, it likely means that we're going to go up. Now, this can mean one of two things: either that Bitcoin's about to dump and altcoins are going to pump, or that altcoins are going to outperform Bitcoin in the short term. And the same goes for Ethereum. So let's take a look at Luna versus Ethereum. Very similar thing we have right over here. Stochastic RSI at the very, very bottom. The last time this happened, we had a major pump for Luna versus Ethereum, around 100%. If we take a look at Ethereum, you can see that since the 1st of January, as I said, we've had an uptrend for the past year. Ethereum has been moving pretty much year to date on an uptrend. The only time we broke below it was in that major crash or capitulation back in May, June, except that we didn't make a W-shaped recovery and bounce back above this multi-month or yearly uptrend. Started on the 1st of January 2021 and broke below it on the 29th, 30th of December 2021. So that's basically 1 year of uptrend. We broke below it and turned it into resistance back down, but we are still at the support band here. So in my opinion, again, at a very, very strong critical support level here. Hopefully we don't lose this. Of course, I can't predict the market and neither can you. It's very much dependent on what the news is saying right now, what the sentiment goes against. Of course, there was the Kazakhstan mining ban for Bitcoin as well, a narrative that of course caused a lot of the dump back in May as well, was the banning of Bitcoin mining and the Elon Musk Bitcoin eco-friendly narrative that we had back then. Something very, very similar is happening this time around. If this is the case, if we do go further, it is going to be the second once in a lifetime therefore twice in a lifetime buying opportunity that we had similar to March 2020, which means we would have a major capitulation, a major crash, an opportunity to buy up again before we start making new all-time highs. Now, I don't think we're going to pump in the very, very short term. I don't think this is the case. I think we might have some more consolidation, just as I showed you with the fractals from earlier in the year. I believe that we do continue going down slightly, or perhaps even just consolidating sideways over the next month or two before eventually starting a new uptrend. And the reason being is pretty much the same thing that I've been saying over the past year, is the news that is coming out this year. It seems to be coinciding with the Ethereum 2.0 launch date. And this is something that most people aren't talking about. And I do believe it does seem to point to mid this year is where we might have a top in the market. Now, again, no predictions here. All I'm saying is that what the data is pointing to right now and the news that we have, it seems to be all coinciding and correlating with this June date that we have, or July date that we have for Ethereum 2.0. Now, whether this happens or not is completely dependent on what the rest of the market does. We aren't having similar cycles to what we've had in the past, where Bitcoin pumps and then large caps, mid caps, low caps. Many coins and many niches of the market are pumping independently from one another. And of course, this comes down to use case. Most of the market up until this point has been narrative and speculation driven, meaning that they pump depending on news and depending on the overall health of the market. However, now we have productive assets. We have assets that people are using. Ethereum is actually an underlying settlements layer for a lot of banks and a lot of the payment systems around the world. We're seeing Luna and UST being adopted quite well right now. We had UST and Luna being listed on Binance. A lot of this is taking place independent of Bitcoin, independent of Ethereum, and independent of what the macro market looks like. But of course, the macro market will still affect risk on markets like cryptocurrency. So if the overall stock market and the overall traditional markets do crash, or we have a major sell-off in them, of course that would correlate and shift over to cryptocurrency as well. But in the short term, in my opinion, if you are selling at this point, I think that is a brain dead move. I think you should wait out a little bit. You always will have that sort of relief bounce that will allow you to exit the market if you do want to take some of those profits off of the table. You don't want to be selling after a major crash. And John Cavallo illustrates this very nicely here. Everyone must endure the brutal Bitcoin rite of passage of a bear market where the investments are severely underwater. This includes Elon, Jack, and Michael Saylor. And of course, you too. So there will be a time in the market where you are in the red. It's not only up only. If you buy at one point and the market immediately reverses it on you, you are going to be underwater. Your portfolio is going to be in the red, but it doesn't necessarily mean you've lost money until you've realized those losses, of course. Until you sell that crypto again and you exit the market, then your losses are realized. But simply enduring these dips and waiting for the market to eventually recover, which it always does over the long term, then you have endured the brutal Bitcoin rite of passage. Hope that clears up the market today. I hope you guys aren't too worried about this. I hope that you haven't been scared out of your bags just yet. We've spoken about this many times on this channel. I'm sure at this point, hopefully, if you've been watching for a while, you have been desensitized to this. If you guys haven't yet, don't forget, I've got 1 day left of the YMH NFT giveaway, as well as $50,000. So literally all you have to do is visit the link and follow YMH on Twitter, follow me on Twitter. These are the things that you have to do. You don't have to pay any money to enter this giveaway. You just have to simply do these tasks, join our Discord, come chat. You don't even have to speak if you don't want to. Come join our Discord. There are some good vibes in there if you do want to see what other people are talking about. And you can win some money and join the wonderful Your Mom's House NFT Discord. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. Don't get too scared about the markets. Things are going to be okay. If you've made it this far in the video, please comment down below. Cool fan. As always, I shall see you in the next video. Cheers.